Hi, this is Dr. Sato, and in this section, I'm going to talk about how to incorporate those Olympic-style lifting to program designing. And this is important because you can easily choose right exercises or wrong exercises into those periodization model. So you have to be careful on what exercise you select in each of that phase, and then I'm going to introduce this in this lecture. So let's talk about when to use appropriate exercises. So this one is specific to Olympic style lifting, not the others. So you have to consider something about the high force or high intensity to match with general strength phase or power phase or max strength phase. And I would not consider the Olympic style lifting into the hypertrophy phase because the hypertrophy phase is more for high displacement and high volume, meaning that you do many sets and then many repetitions with high displacement, meaning that you cover full range of motion. But as you see in Olympic style lifting, a lot of exercises are partial range of motion, so it's not suitable for hypertrophy phase. And then also, we introduce a lot of exercises focusing on technique. So what you want to do in those exercises, you have to do it in the category of return to fitness phase, where you actually try to learn the new exercises, or general strength phase, you can still learn new exercises. So when you do those, you're basically learning how to do it to set yourself up to general strength phase or maximal strength phase or power phase. And then at the end, some of the high force, high intensity exercises with low volume, meaning that you do minimum repetitions, you can also use that in a power phase. So when you actually consider about selecting those exercises, you have to learn how to do it first, so you can actually use this very effectively in when you do maximal strength or power phase. We start out with a general strength phase, meaning that you have some portion as a return to fitness and then some portion as general strength, meaning that in this phase you're trying to build more on the engine side. So you're trying to do some of the exercises from the lifting variations. So I'm going to cover this in the next lecture, talking about different type of exercises, not typically speaking about Olympic style lifting. So here, what you're trying to approach is you're trying to fit some Olympic style lifting so you can learn how to do it while you're using some of the lifting variations on the next lecture. So you don't have to do a whole lot of repetitions, or you don't have to put the heavier weights. You're just learning how to do those, some of the Olympic style lifting in these phases. You can actually do something like a mid-thigh pull or a counter movement shrug in the general strength phase. So you can actually add something that is a little bit more high force category exercises in this phase, and then learn how to do those exercises correctly. So again, you don't need heavy weights, but you just have to learn how to do this very well in terms of a triple extension and then a partial stability. So along with the other training exercises, you can put those exercises in that phase to learn how to do it right. You can also add more dynamic movement like a clean pull. So you can see here that those exercises, again, you have to learn how to do this correctly. And then these exercises from the floor or hang position. So you learn how to do the clean pull from the floor or from the mid-thigh. And then this is very important to learn because when you actually do these exercises, before you put too much weight on, you have to be able to maintain that posture from here to come up and then triple extend. So in this phase of return to fitness or general strength phase, you can do those exercises to learn how to do this correctly. So when it gets to the maximal strength or power phase, you can do those exercises very good way. When you train athletes, and oftentimes you might face the time period where you do the hypertrophy phase. When I mentioned this earlier, you don't really want to fit the Olympic style lifting into the hypertrophy phase, because most of the hypertrophy training that you do come from different type of weight training that is mainly focusing on force production with traditional exercises, not necessarily from Olympic style lifting. So when you actually have the training program specifically for hypertrophy phase, I would not put any of the Olympic style lifting in this phase. So hypertrophy phase is something that you do exercises in a high volume. For example, typical high volume exercise phase makes the exercise to be more like 3 sets of 10 or 5 sets of 10. So it requires a lot of high volume, but the Olympic style lifting is not very suitable for these kind of phase, because those are more for the speed, more power emphasis. So you do those exercises in a lower repetitions. So compared to the hypertrophy phase, those exercises in Olympic style lifting is not very good matching exercises in this category. In a short summary, to match up the general strengths to hypertrophy phase, as I mentioned, that in an earlier stage, Olympic style lifting can be taught correctly, so you can do those exercises in a very efficient manner on a later phase. And then the hypertrophy phase, you don't want to fit any of the Olympic style lifting because it's not just suitable for these exercises.